Hello everybody and welcome to the WCA EU Pro Qualifier. Yesterday we already had quite some amazing games with Team Liquid and Fnatci qualifying for the final at Gamescom. And of course today we are going into Group B where we have Fnatic, we have Kinguin, we have Rocket and we have Na'Vi playing. And our first game is of course going to be a best of one, but we're pretty curious to see which two teams will be able to join Fnatci and Team Liquid at Gamescom.
Yep, and like you said, some incredible matches coming up and some little shuffle arounds from what you guys might have seen. For example, in the very first game we're going into, Team Fnatic coming in with almost a completely changed lineup.
Fnatic changed their lineup and they have now not only Breeze, a former Na'Vi player, but also Woobiewoo, who was a player at the beginning, came in as a coach to Na'Vi and now joined Fnatic as well. So a big lineup shift. We're going to talk about that in just a bit. But the draft for our first game has already started. Keep in mind that the two first games in the group are going to be best of ones, and then after that the winner-loser final and also the consolation final are all three going to be a best of three series. So let's jump into the draft for map number 1.
Yep, and starting off the draft, Fnatic did have the first ban and a very comfort ban that we see from a lot of teams nowadays, the Abathur, not wanting to play it or play against it due to the fact it's one of the larger maps and he can just get so much out of it. Fnatic feeling much more comfortable with the standard style. Kinguin with the even more standard Zeratul ban, and Fnatic something a bit out of the ordinary, just immediately first picking Kael'thas.
So we have once again this shift between Kael'thas and Jaina, both of the heroes just like being split here. It's not really all that common that you have both of them on one team. Most of the time it's just like an even trade between the two of them. Fire against Ice, and now Fnatic picking up the Kael'thas here, and immediately Kinguin with a bit of a counter pick. Jaina these days is actually by most of the teams prioritized even higher than Kael'thas, but as already Tetra said a second ago, Fnatic apparently more confident going into a Kael'thas here on Cursed Hollow, which is a map that really caters towards the strength of both of these heroes.
Yeah, both of these heroes, very long-range mage damage dealers who can harass incredibly well with Flame Strike and Blizzard respectively. Both amazing at disrupting that tribute capture. Kinguin, their second pick is going to be the Zagara, and we've seen a huge resurgence in Zagaras recently.
Yeah, exactly. Zagara is going to be played here once more. We've seen her a lot yesterday. And the cool thing about Zagara, of course, is that she provides you with a lot of vision. She has a perfect setup with the Maw to really get some area of effect damage in. And that's, of course, what in this case Kinguin is also hoping for. They're also one of the teams that fare the best with Zagara, I want to say. They brought her back into the meta, and now once again we're having them playing her here on Cursed Hollow. Whereas for Fnatic, we have a very fast draft here actually, going straight into Anubarak as their tank, and they pick the Malfurion for the heals.
Yeah, but Anubarak, another hero we've seen make a bit of a resurgence recently, due to the fact that for the longest time, for quite a while now, it was the Muradin and the Johanna, who were very high priority in terms of warriors. But since yesterday and in the first game today, we're seeing a lot of Anubaraks being picked a little bit earlier, and sometimes Johanna in general being ignored completely.
It's also quite interesting to see that, of course, with the changed lineup that we're seeing for Fnatic here, we suddenly have Breeze, arguably one of the best tank players in Europe next to Lucifron, going straight for Anubarak here. So it's going to be pretty cool to see how exactly Fnatic plays together in this. The changed lineup is extremely scary in my opinion, and they could go very, very far away. I mean, this is one of the teams that are players that came together to take on Team Liquid. They are not here to come in second place. They definitely want to aim for the top, and they have to prove that today. And it's not going to be easy for them, considering that they, of course, didn't have too much time yet playing together and practicing together. But just the sheer skill that we have on this team now is absolutely incredible and promises a lot.
Yeah, a lot of individual talents, a lot of individual names, which is what we've always said about Team Liquid. Team Liquid have always been an incredible cohesive unit, but they are one of the few teams where stars have formed. Fnatic and Na'Vi are some of the other ones, and just to name two, LOL on the side of Fnatic, when he one of the best melee assassins to compete with Blackscorp, some might say, and Breeze, we've already talked about him, one of the best tanks coming in. If they do play against each other, competing against Lucifron. Just two incredibly big names who have managed to stand out from the crowd.
And of course, another name that they picked up just recently is Mena, who came out of nowhere all of a sudden, apparently a former friend or like a friend of Lowell's, and turned out to be one of the best melee assassins that we currently have here in the game. But the bans are continuing, and in this case, we're actually seeing not only the Nazebo ban to actually deny a little bit more of the sustained damage that we're oftentimes seeing, that mage damage to Fnatic, but in the case of Fnatic, we're having a ban on Tyrande, since they realized that that with a Jaina already on the board, a Muradin Tyrande composition would go a long way for Kinguin to get early kills in the match here and get ahead. So in this case, they ban out Tyrande, and let's see how Kinguin is going to react to that. They still miss their healer, they still need a tank, and the Johanna is still out there, as is Muradin, so they have a lot of options here.
And I think the fact that they were missing that healer is another reason why this Tyrande was banned out. They could have gone for another healer, but that's still, if they say banned Uther, still would have left Rhaegar open, who is still an incredible healer, and would have still left Kinguin open to go into those wonderful Butcher burst comps, because Fnatic have already picked their healer. There's no way that they're going to get anti-picked in that, and it is a damage over time healer. Not the best against Butcher, so there's a good chance it could burst out. And banning out Tyrande, most efficient way of getting rid of the Muradin Tyrande and the Butcher Tyrande. And that's the Vikings.
That's Vikings, and this is interesting because one of the Vikings player that we had for like one of the better Vikings players on the European server was Nurok. He played it a lot, but Nurok came to Kinguin from Team Dignitas, switching into the tank role. On the other hand, then we had Nepsa sometimes playing as a tank and Get Amher moving into the support role. So we have a pretty interesting shift here where we don't really know yet who is going to jump on the Vikings, but Nurok was one of the players for Dignitas who always used the hero whenever he could. And of course on Cursed Hollow, the Vikings are going to be incredibly good to soak up the experience, and they complement that with a Johanna who can use her Condemn to pull the targets in so that Jaina can deliver the damage with the Blizzard.
Yep, and it also helps out with that skill shot that you get once you are in the long boat raid. And even when the Vikings are in their individual forms, pulling them into a free Viking spin to win is a lovely little bit of burst damage.
That's definitely true. And for now, we are also seeing, of course, the next picks for Fnatic. And Fnatic at this point, while they're running down their time pool here, they need a bit more of sustainable damage in this case. Vala is still out there. We have the potential for them to go into Sylvanas. Maybe a bit unlikely considering the setup that we're seeing for the opponent there, but they could also try and just get one of those melee assassins that you mentioned earlier in. So Lowell has some opportunities to just dive deep here. But of course, considering the choice of healer, it looks a little bit more likely that they're not going to do this.
Yeah, but wrong.
Oh,
There's instantly the Illidan. And we have seen Illidans do very well with Malfurion a lot of times, but we all know it's not the most optimal of healers. So it's very curious to see what their last pick will be to go with this.
So Illidan will have to play a bit more careful. There's no Divine Shield that he can fall back onto, nor is there an Ancestral Healing. So he will have to be very careful with his approach here. But Malfurion, of course, great when it comes to healing out damage that Jaina is going to try to throw at them. So in this case, Illidan will have to adjust his playstyle a little bit. Of course, it's going to be Lowell who's going to play the hero here. But for their last pick,
Uther
maybe?
and Rhaegar are both open for a potential double support comp if they wanted to. They have Malf to counter the Lost Vikings. Nope, going to be Tassadar. Okay.
Tassadar, of course, always quite nice here for them if they want to not only support Lowell even further. If they say, okay, we have enough damage on the board, we want to support Illidan a bit with this as well. They have the shield, and not to forget, we have the Oracle to just counteract to a certain extent, at least Zagara with her Creep Tumors trying to provide vision on the map.
Yep, and that is always lovely. Also, the amount of long-range harass to deny tributes coming out of Fnatic right now is insane. Psystorm, Moonfire, the Impaling Spikes, and the Flame Strike. I cannot see Kinguin picking up a tribute for a long time unless they can actually win a fight and maybe get a kill against Fnatic.
And we have to pick the last pick in the game. It is, of course, Rhaegar. You have the choice between Lili, Rhaegar, and Uther. Brightwing is not a hero that is being picked a whole lot. I think the only team in the European server who currently still relies on Brightwing, depending on the opponent's composition, oftentimes against a Zeratul, for example, is Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro is not playing here. And with the Rhaegar, you still have some area of effect heal. In this case, of course, then the Chain Wave, and with the Tidal Wave on level 16, you have an opportunity to spam that out. We have the Lost Vikings on their side, so they really need to get that healing power in there. But very solid picks that we're seeing for the two teams. Yeah,
and you mentioned the chain heals, then the tidal waves later on, so that means when you hit 3 targets or more, you're going to get the shorter cooldown. And when you have Vikings, you're pretty much guaranteed to hit it every time, so you can just spam out those heals. And because of that, it's likely we're going to see the Grace ability so that we get the reduced mana cost on level 1.
And of course, with Cursed Hollow, I once again want to emphasize this. The first game for the teams is always going to be a best of 1. So in this case, the match between Fnatic and Kinguin, and also later on Rocket versus Na'Vi is going to be a best of 1, but then the winners match, the losers match, and the consolation match are all going to be best of 3 series. So keep that in mind. The teams, if they lose, are not out automatically. The loser of this particular series now is going to drop down into the losers match, and after this one we're going to jump straight into the match between Rocket and Na'Vi, which is also going to be extremely interesting. Now that Na'Vi lost Breeze, they're playing here with Alex the Pro G, who formerly was a member of Nihilum. So you can already see there's a lot of changes in the European scene right now, with the teams just trying to pick up better players, replace old ones, replace players like Shinobu, for example, who went back into the US on the side of Fnatic. So it's a very interesting shift that we're seeing in the scene.
Yep, and it's going to be very interesting to see how all these new players, all these new teams gel to each other. Gamers too, a little bit pioneering in this method, in fact, bringing in their new player. However, it's not really worked out for them as well as they might have hoped in this case, but we were talking about it before this. This Fnatic lineup just seems so scary.
Exactly. In theory, it is a super scary lineup that Fnatic has now. They still play with Kaysil and with Lowell, 2 members of the old lineup, but now they have Breeze and Wooby, 2 players from Fnatic. Wooby actually the coach of Fnatic, but he went back into the player role, and we have them with Mena, a very strong assassin there as well. The match is live though, so let's jump into the first map of the day. It is Cursed Hollow, and let's find out together which team is going to clinch out victory here. We're having to the left side of the map. It is Kinguin with Johanna, played by Nurok. So Snow in this case, picking up the Vikings here. Nurok probably going to be a bit sad about this. Vikings were always one of his favorite heroes. Now we have Nepsa on Rhaegar, Invidum on Zagara, and Gerd Amher playing the assassin with Jaina. To the right side of the map, it is Fnatic. Lowell on Illidan, of course. Wooby playing Malfurion, switching into the support role. We're having Breeze on Anubarak, Mena on Kel'Thas, and Kaysil on Tassadar.
And talent-wise, right at the start of this game, we have a Frostbolt talent coming out from Jaina. The Winter's Reach, increasing the range of Frostbolt by 30%.
That's, of course, also quite interesting with what Techa mentioned already earlier today, that there's a lot that we are seeing on the side of Fnatic that can actually interrupt a tribute that is being taken. And now we're having something similar on the side of Kinguin. They're just trying to get that reach in, which is, of course, not only nice to chase a target down, but also pretty cool if you want to make sure that your opponent is not getting an easy grab on one of the tributes.
Yeah, and on the side of Kinguin, they have quite a few abilities that work out well with this. They have, like you said, the Frostbolt, which can harass. We have the Shield Glare coming in from the Johanna, and the Infested Drop from Zagara, who has just been rooted.
Yeah, rooted, and immediately also Gravity Lab. Suddenly Kinguin's Invidum is in trouble and goes down. Good first blood here on the side of Fnatic. Very well played. Good coordination here up at the top. Gerd trying to put some damage on Breeze, but that was a good start for the new Fnatic lineup.
There are very few things more satisfying in this game than getting a last hit on a hero with a Moonfire. There's very few things more satisfying.
The one thing that I say would even tops that if you get it over the wall. Just
yes.
Max
They're
range.
Already through the gate, just about to hit the fountain. Boom. Just
Exactly.
wipe them out.
That's one of the most... It's also one of the most annoying things when it happens to you, that you get killed by one of those. You already feel safe, and then all of a sudden there's a Moonfire out of nowhere, and you just die. We had an immediate switch, by the way, by Invidum now down to the bottom lane, trying to help out Nurok. Apparently done with the top lane, where we see another gank attempt, this time against Jaina.
Oh my god, just she's getting wiped out so hard. The Living Bomb will take her down. And Fnatic, this top lane is just so deadly. Root into double, not into the stun, into another stun. What can you do against that? Right now, Invidium, though, and Nura are going to be pushing this bot lane very heavily. They've already wiped out all of the ammo except for 2 on the bottom tower. Kessel trying to do the best he can, and with his Oracle will be clearing up creep, but he's very much on the defensive here.
Yeah, he definitely is. And he, of course, went into Mental Acuity on level 4 to further reduce the cooldown on his Oracle ability, so that he has an even better chance for this. Shadow Wolf taken, and Eric the Swift, currently the standard talent on the Vikings. And for, of course, Rhaegar, we're seeing a lot of Shadow Wolf if you take the mana reduction on level 1, which is indeed the case here.
Yep, and we see a little more roaming right now. We saw Kel'Thas leave the top lane, coming down to the bot lane to help out with the push. Illidan also left. He's left the mid lane. He went to go starting the easy camp, and Malfurion took over in the mid lane. So just very big rotations coming in from Fnatic, just moving around the map to where they are needed.
And at this point, they are needed up at the top because we have the first tribute spawning, and this is where the Vikings will start to unfold their full potential. At the bot lane, we have one of the Vikings in position. Snow is splitting the rest of them into the mid lane, and Fnatic is not reacting completely. They have heroes on both of these lanes. Currently, just prioritizing the experience higher than the tribute itself. It's only the first one in the game, and Kesel is trying at this point to interrupt those tribute takes as long as he can, but in the mid lane, we had Balog go down against Lowell.
Yeah, and this is what Fnatic are trying to do. They're still keeping someone in each lane. Kesel and the Malfurion Wubby are trying to just deny this tribute as much as possible to waste time here. And Kael'thas, I like what he's doing here, chilling in the bot lane, pushing with this easy camp, and if the Viking moves too far to line, it's going to give Kael'thas another stack.
Kael'thas has a very good position here at the bot lane right now with the Siege Giant camp that we are seeing. Main is doing a great job. In the mid lane, we have the Vikings back to contest Lowell. But this tribute is still not taken. Maybe now Nipsa has a chance here, but no, there's the stun from Anubarak. Fnatic doing a great job delaying this.
Yeah, Nurok's trying to deal with these two harassers from the other side. They finally get it.
Look at that level 7 talent.
That's very telling.
It's going to be the hunt on Illidan. The thrill of battle taken on the 7 talent from Illidan. Normally, that's when you know that the hunt is going to be taken instead of Metamorphosis. No first aid. And what the thrill of battle does, it actually, for a short period of time, doubles the cooldown reduction from your basic attacks on Illidan, meaning that you will be able to get 2 hunts off during a fight. So a very telling talent here, and I can't wait for those heroic abilities to hit.
Yep, it is pretty fantastic, and it's going to allow for even more stun. Literally everyone except Tazadar on the side of Fnatic here now has some kind of CC or stun.
I'm really loving this right now, and this is going to be great. The cool thing about Illidan is that he can also then split soak another lane and still jump into the team fight, so they are going to be very mobile here. At this point though, both of the teams still on level 8, with Fnatic having a slight lead in experience. On level 7, by the way, we see Frostbitten on Jaina, not changing the build, disregarding that level 1 talent with Winter's Reach, which of course we already talked about in the beginning of the game.
Yep, here comes the next tribute. It is going to be in the bottom lane, nearer to Mena than anyone else, but he does have a Jaina and a Viking in his lane to deal with, so he's not going to roam out too quickly. But Fnatic, 3 people in the mid lane right now are all on the way. There's the Oracle from Kesel. We'll see the Jaina down there, and Nurok. They have great vision low. Just getting some harassment, but doesn't need to stay too long.
The Vikings, of course, up at the top once again, trying to soak the experience here. Kesel and Tazadar going to the Mind Shield shift as Nurok moves in with another Condemn. The root is good against Jaina. The damage hits. The Living Bomb is there. Mena with the damage, trying to just hit all of those AoE spells. And once again, Anubarak jumps in and goes straight for the fight.
Low pushing in onto Nurok here. Nurok does get rooted. He's not having his passive up, but he does go down. And that is the 1 kill that Fnatic need, which will allow him to pick up the tribute. But while that was happening, Vikings were soaking XP, but it doesn't matter because Fnatic got that kill. They hit their level 10s. That's not the hunt.
No hunt on Illidan. So
the bait is real.
Yeah, so far, every time we saw Thrill of Battle, it was the hunt. But in this case, they're going for Metamorphosis instead. Apparently, he really feels that he doesn't need his first aid. And that's surprising, considering that they only have Malfurion with the heals there. The boss taken. Very aggressive position by Fnatic, moving in, taking the boss, even though they knew that their opponent would hit level 10 any second themselves and didn't even have a hero down anymore.
Yep, and you were talking about the fact that it is quite weird because their healer is Malfurion, but it actually can work out in their favor because, like you said, there's a possibility of getting 2 of those hunts off in a fight. Instead, Illidan's going to get 2 Metamorphoses off, which heals him up a massive amount if he lands it on a large group. And with Vikings in the fight, he's going to be able to heal himself up twice throughout a fight and just get those 2 bonus health balls that Illidan's like.
It's actually, I'm a bit curious if he's going to be able to really get 2 Metamorphoses off.
It's a long cooldown.
Exactly. The cooldown is much higher than with the Hunt. The cool thing about the Hunt is that the cooldown is so short, and if you have Thrill of Battle, then you get 2 of those in. Right now, he's going to try that. Metamorphosis is definitely a very interesting pick with this. And I have not seen these talents in combination, so I'm very curious to see how much he can do with this. But he will definitely have, for every single fight, a Metamorphosis ready, and that's pretty cool here.
Yep, Kesel took a bit of harassment there, but was easy able to dimensional shift his way out and walk to safety. Heroics are available for both teams, and we see nothing out of the ordinary other than we did expect the hunt, and we didn't see it.
And the one thing I could definitely see here is that we have, if you look at the heroic abilities, the highest cooldown on Metamorphosis. So Illidan is currently really the bottleneck character when it comes to his heroic ability, and thanks to the Thrill of Battle on level 7, they can engage into these team fights a bit sooner, 20 seconds sooner to be exact, because they only have to wait for Malfurion with his 100-second cooldown to get ready. Balog going down again, so slowly and steadily those Vikings withering away a little bit. 3.5 kills against 0 so far in the game, especially thanks to all the early game kills that we saw on the side of Fnatic, who are currently still ahead in the game, even though they're playing against the Vikings.
Yeah, and they also, though, are behind in tributes, and this tribute has spawned on the side of Team Kinguin right now, and Fnatic. They need to try and take some control here. Wubby throwing down his root does not land anyone, but they have pretty much all their harassers except for Tastar here, who is staying bot lane to soak XP.
It's also very telling again that we're having level 13 in just a second for Fnatic, so they're trying to delay this a bit until they hit the talent, and there it is immediately the 6th and here comes also Metamorphosis. Illidan is jumping in, the Blast Shield already coming out of Jan, at the same time the Phoenix in the backline is trying to dish out as much damage as possibly can. They root down Zagara, go in, the ancestral healing for Nessa is too late, and down goes Zagara.
Lowell is jumping onto Gurdenherd in the backline, and Tastar has just arrived trying to take down Johanna. Down goes the Jaina, and we're seeing the Rhaegar actually taking a lot of damage. Johanna will escape here. Rhaegar's being chased to the top lane, has so little health left. Ancestral himself, there's the Flame Strike. If he had an Ancestral, he would be dead. But here comes Lowell, wants to try and finish him off. But he's just kind of ignoring him. There's the jump, there's the root, there's the cleanse. And he just runs away.
Yeah, well done here, and that was actually like a pretty smart move there. So they get away with not losing too many heroes there, but they lost the tribute, and well, actually like they lost 2 heroes in that process, but it could have been way worse. The thing is that Fnatic with this newfound power, this aggressive lineup that they have, they go straight for the boss once again. And I have to say that what Fnatic is playing here so far against Kinguin is very, I want to call it clean. Very clean and crisp, just always making good decisions, very nice decision making, and so far this new team lineup of theirs has been working out extremely well, especially considering that they just formed with this particular setup, so they didn't really have too much time for practice.
Yep, and very interesting here, we can have a look at the XP count very quickly. And we can see that the Vikings have 13,500 XP, and Fnatic are still ahead by an entire level, just due to really nice splitting when they need to.
Fnatic is playing a great game here, but Kinguin, of course, is not out of this just yet, and they are defending up at the top against the boss. They are in a bit of a peculiar position since they're 2 levels behind already, but they still have 2 tributes. This is, on the other hand, one that they will have to fight for, because this is still on even talents, and they have to get the 3rd one, because if they lose this one here, then we are going to see Fnatic curse Kinguin. So they are moving up to the top, position for Breeze already, stunning out Johanna.
Johanna is just going to kill off those beetles. Flame Strike lands on Snow on the Balog. So Balog, half health, will get healed up by Rhaegar. And Kinguin trying to take this. There's a lot of harass potential coming in. There's the Flame Strike, another delay. And the beetles will delay this even more. And Kinguin just need to win a fight before they can take this, because there's another Moonfire coming in. There's no way they're going to get it in the near future at this rate.
Fnatic is just stalling. They know that they will get a bit of experience. In the mid lane, we have a huge camp currently pushing in. If this fort falls, or just the tower, they will hit level 16. And once they have level 16,
just going to go do it. He's the only one who can't harass, so he's just going to go kill it off. There's the fort. Oh my god, they're so close, they didn't hit it.
But they just need 1 or 2 creeps, and there it is. They have the 16 talent, and immediately Kinguin moving back. They know that they have to, but Fnatic is not pursued. Jumping in with Illidan once again. Super aggressive stance here, going for Nuruk. The ancestral healing is too late. Johanna is down, and Lowell goes for the Vikings, whereas the rest of the team is trying to win, but Water Elemental is still blocking Breeze.
Oh, Gurdenherd almost getting picked off in the bottom bed of Flame Strike. He does get healed, but the Vikings do get wiped out by the combination of Tastar and Illidan, and Jaina does go down in the end as well to Breeze.
Breeze taking down Jaina, and now with Ignite on the side of Kel'Thas, he does so much damage. They're moving into the mid lane once again with Breeze and Lowell. The tribute not even taken yet. Malfurion is in the back and finally takes it. Here comes the Web Blast against one of the heroes, and they're trying to dive in once again.
Zagara pops out of that Web Blast, gets cleansed instantly. Ancestral healing, keeping her alive. She gets the nice devouring more off on pretty much everyone, but Lowell's in the background, wiping her out. In comes the Phoenix to try and put some pressure on. Flame Strike lands on Nuruk. He gets focused down by Lowell and Breeze. And now it's Nebsa and Snow here. Gurdenherd has just respawned as well. But what can they do here? There's just so much pressure on them. There's no way they're going to get the damage off. That was a nice blizzard, but there's the Metamorphosis to get out of it and to jump onto Gurdenherd.
At the same time, the Longbird in the backline is already dishing out a bit more damage against Maynard. They get once again the kill against Jaina, but in this case, it's Maynard just running away from the Longbird, but they go for core. They're trying to end the game here. 12 minutes in, and Fnatic is just saying, this is it. We're going to take it right now. But Johanna's going to to be back in another 5 seconds, and Jaina is only down for another 17, but already at 70% to kill. The first kill against Mene in this game, the first kill for Kinguin. The core at 50%, Fnatic is going for it.
Dazzledot has the dimensional shift to try and keep himself alive. Low jumps to the other side. He's pretty much at full health, and he will be what finishes off. There's the web blast, and that will be enough. And that is GG. Fnatic will take game number 1.
What a call. Wow, they do it just at the end of the match, and an absolutely amazing call there. And Fnatic, the new lineup, as we've been saying, they just formed a day ago, and in this case, they already showed their potential here, taking down Kinguin with an impressive performance. Only 1 kill. Well, actually, at the end of the game, I suppose it was 2 that we're seeing here for Kinguin. Fnatic going in, knowing exactly when they can finish the match. They move in, they take down the core, and therefore, they move on to the winner's match now.
Yep, and we saw a really nice engagement at the end there. A load of the team of Kinguin did respawn and tried to fight that to try and get that, try and kick Fnatic out of their base. But Fnatic played it perfectly.
Yeah.
We saw Tasdar dimensional shift so many times to keep himself alive, just flying basically all around the map. Illidan jumping over. He was at full health the entire time. And Anubrak with the last second web blast to remove that extra damage.
Not only that web blast, I mean, that one moment where we suddenly saw Anubrak after the web blast just dive in, take down Jaina. Once again, I think it was Zagara in this case, trying to go for her. Nepse even there with the ancestral healing, trying to just make sure that they couldn't take her down, but then Illidan jumps in as well. Everybody goes down on Zagara. They take her on, and in this case, they just realized, well, boys, this is not only a keep. We have the curse. We can just go straight for the core right now, and we can finish it. A great call in the situation. We've seen a lot of teams fail at exactly this moment and throw the game, but they were sure that they could do it, and they took down Kinguin. An amazing game by them.
Yep, incredible play by them. And it is only a best of 1 in this series, so Fnatic are moving on to the upper round. Kinguin will get another chance, though.
Yeah, they will get another chance. They will go up against the loser of the next match that we have here between Rocket and Na'Vi. And this is going to be a great one as well. Of course, Na'Vi, they suffered the loss of Breeze, which is definitely not an easy thing to compensate for. But we have now Alex the Pro G, a former player of Nihilum, joining their ranks and playing for them here today. So after a short break, we're going to find out who is going to take this best of 1 season. Is it going to be Rocket? Is it going to be Na'Vi? Which team will face Fnatic in the winners match? So guys, stay tuned, and we'll be back in just a few minutes here with the WCA EU Pro Qualifier to find out who's going to go up against Fnatic next.